Good morning, guys. Today we'll discuss five essential tips for playing acoustic guitar in a contemporary worship setting. Let's start. Tip number one. Tip number one. Always tune your acoustic guitar. So many players pick up their guitar and start playing without checking their tuning. While your guitar might sound close enough, acoustic guitars are highly sensitive to factors like number one, humidity, temperature, and lastly is string age. So even if you tune your guitar the night before, the tuning might have drifted overnight. So before every performance or practice, take a moment to tune your guitar properly. This very simple habit uh, ensures your sound to blend well with the band and avoid unpleasant pitch issues. So, for example, here in my acoustic guitar, I last played this last Sunday around March 30, 30, 30. So, I haven't played it since. So, let's check the tuning. So, I think it sounds fine, but it's not perfectly tuned, I think. So to tune, so there are two ways. Most acoustic guitars have their built-in tuner that's found here, or you could have a pedal or a gadget like I do. I have a gadget for tuning. So let's check the tuning for my guitar. Let's see. So here, so as you can see, my guitar is already a bit off tuned. Uh, so because it's been sitting here in the studio for 3 to 4 days already. So before every practice, we tune our guitars. So let's tune the lower string. Okay. Okay. G. All right. They're all tuned now. So before every practice or every performance, always have it tuned. So it sounds the best when it's tuned. All right. Tip number two. Tip number two, set your volume and EQ properly. So many acoustic electric guitars have built-in EQ controls, volume setting, and mic blend options. And these systems typically use two kinds of pickups. First pickup is it's what's called piezo pickup. So there's a wire underneath here, the saddle, and then there's also a mic uh, built inside the module. So typically you have to blend that mic. It's an internal microphone, but not all pickups have that. So most of the pickups only have the saddle. So this particular guitar has its mic blend option. So before you play, during sound check, set your volume to 90%. So how do you do 90%? So what you do is have the volume knob at full and then just dial it back slightly. So full, full, or full, and then dial back slightly. Okay. All right. I'll show it to you guys. Okay. So next is start with your EQ at unity position. So what does unity position look like? So for example, I'll just show it here. All right. Okay. So here, so here I have bass, mid, and treble EQ. They're all at unity position. So this means that this pickup is not altering the sound of the guitar. So it's in its natural timbre and frequency. So you have to listen first how it sounds on your in ears or your room. So if you like it, leave it at that. So if you don't, uh, you dial in the EQ. So let's try. So I'll listen to my guitar here. Hey, test. Okay. So what happens if I dial in the bass? So it starts to get muddy. So dialing it back to 12. What if I dial in the mid? It's a bit warmer. Then the treble. Okay. So most of the time, what I do is, uh, I keep it at center here in my module, and then I'll dial in my EQ on my guitar effects. But if you don't have a guitar effect, a good starting point would be bass, mid, treble, assuming you have those three EQ bands. I dial in the mid back a bit. So what that sounds like is this one. So let's dial in it like totally off. Then add warmth to it. So currently, mine is at 12 o'clock for bass, mid is around 9 o'clock, and then treble is around 12 o'clock. So this is how it sounds. I'll turn off my effects for now. Turn off. Alright, so it's just plain. So this is this EQ setting, mid at bass at 12 o'clock, then mid at around 10 or 9 o'clock, then treble at 12 o'clock. This is a very good setting for strumming. So this is how it does, how it sounds. But this won't hold up if you're gonna do a solo part, because it lacks the warmth of the acoustic guitar. So for example, if you're gonna do, but if we dial in back the mids, it gives back the warmth of the guitar. Or this is good also for plucking. So okay, so those are those are two good EQ techniques. So just adjusting the mid. And then the next is, if your guitar has an internal microphone, so you have to dial it back. So the internal microphone captures the body of the guitar. So let's try dialing it back. So let's see. So I'll dial in the microphone at 12 o'clock. Okay. At full. So you'll notice that the mic blend is balancing the pickup, the piezo pickup, and the microphone. So what I typically do is around like give around 70 to 80 for the piezo pickup and just a little bit of microphone. So that would be around 9 o'clock on the knob. Here, 9 o'clock. Alright. But you have to be careful with this microphone. So if you're playing in a very loud environment, this microphone could cause feedback. So what happens is that when you play and then you have a floor wedge or a monitor that's facing you, and then since it's too loud, it's gonna be picked up by the microphone inside again. So what I typically do is just turn it off. It's better to turn it off and not cause feedback. This is very good if you want to do recording. So it gives the natural warmth and the body of the acoustic guitar. Alright. Tip number 3. Play dynamically throughout the song. Dynamics are crucial in worship music. Before playing, take the time to listen to the song arrangement and understand when to play softly and when to build intensity. For example, in the song called Open the Eyes of My Heart by Michael W. Smith, the intro starts with an acoustic guitar playing 16th notes, and then the intensity pulls back on the verse, but still keeping the 16 notes, and then it builds back up in the chorus. So, for example, in Open the Eyes, since it's a strumming part, so what I usually do, dial back the mids back. Okay. Verse. Verse 2, 3. To see. One more. Lord, open the eyes of my heart. I wanna see. Pre-chorus. See you high, shining in the light of glory. Power of love. So you'll see that playing dynamically gives the acoustic guitar more uh, texture, and it sounds more pleasant. Okay. So tip number 4, play within your role. An acoustic guitar has its own unique place in a worship band. It's primarily a rhythm instrument. Avoid trying to mimic electric guitar or synth parts, as this can sound as this can make the mix feel cluttered. So a common mistake is when electric guitarists switch to acoustic, but still try to play lead lines. So I'm very guilty of it when I was still trying to learn electric guitar. Still trying to play lead lines using techniques like double stops. While these sounds great on electric guitar with effects like delay and reverb, they often sound too sharp or harsh on acoustic. So, for example, one common thing I do when I play lead, so I do dotted eight delay, and do like root and fifth. So it may sound good in its own, but if you play together with an electric guitar, you're gonna be buried, and then it might sound very harsh because acoustic guitar on those parts sounds very sharpy. So instead of playing that, so key of D. Dun, 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 dun. So instead of doubling the electric guitar like so, it doesn't work for acoustic in my experience. So embrace the acoustic guitar's natural qualities. So focus on rhythmic strumming and gentle picking. So then as much as possible play open chords and partial chord voicing. So open chords may sound something like this. So those chords were like D, then B minor, then E minor, then back to D. So instead of playing it like that, so you could play it more openly. So what I do is D2, then D2, and then D2 over B, then E minor, sus2, go back to D. So notice how it differs. instead of open chords like so with open chords, it has some sense of continuity between chord changes. Then avoid overplaying and competing with other instruments. So, for example, so that's what the electric guitar does. So, if you notice the electric guitar is doing somewhat of a rhythmic pattern, so what you could do is complement it. So, so you could do two things. First is if the electric guitar is playing in the high parts, you could give warmth by playing in the lower parts of the fretboard. Alright. Last tip. Use effects that enhance your tone. So when using effects, the goal is to enhance your acoustic sound and not make it an sound like an electric guitar. So my recommended effects for acoustic guitar is number 1, compression. So it evens out the dynamics of a more polished sound. So for example, acoustic guitar is a very dynamic instrument. So for example, if you play softly, then so let's say that volume's around here, and then you at the later part of the song it's gonna be like big strums. So what that gives is like when the engineer mixes your sound at that volume, tendencies is that your sound during plucking won't get noticed. So what I do is add a bit of compression so that the dynamics of my sound gets lesser. So the softer parts go up, then the louder parts go down. So this gives a very this gives a small dynamic range, so easier time to mix. So let's try that one. So here I have my, so I'll turn on my, these ones are like based just, it depends on your guitar effects if you have these. So this one I just use for EQ. So you see here, I got my bass around 12 o'clock 50, and then my mid as 40, and then treble at 50. So since what I do is do my EQ on the guitar effects, so I leave my acoustic guitar at 12 o'clock. So compression. So listen how it affects the sound, my acoustic. Again, sorry. With compression. Without compression. So let's try strumming without compression. with compression. So it sounds a bit thicker with compression. The next guitar effects I want to do is a bit of chorus, just a very small, tiny chorus. So let's engage my chorus. This helps during, like, it gives texture. So for example here. What you don't want to do is have the chorus very upfront. So for example here, let's say it's around 78. So you now sound more like an acoustic. I know, more like an electric guitar. So what I do, just a tiny bit, around 20 or 10, just give a little bit of texture. Wow, something like that. Then without it. Okay. Next is a delay. So a delay. So what I often do is like a very mild slap back delay. So it's very good in like fast songs. See? So let's say. Okay. One, two, three. So it gives the acoustic guitar a little bit more life and texture. Last is the reverb. So reverb gives a sense of space. So this is very useful especially if you don't have the mic blend option. So reverb, say for example here, it just dies right out. But with reverb, you hear that? So this really is really effective for like giving a sense of space, especially playing live. So pair it up with a delay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then with chorus. Let's play that again without the effects. So, with the effects. Alright. If you have an extra slot, uh, try adding a boost pedal just right before the chorus effects. This will help push the guitar, acoustic guitar, forward in certain sections. So let's say, for example, you have a solo part. So, but it's very rare to have solo part for acoustic guitar these days. But there are still some, especially for those songs before 2000s, around 2000 to 2010. So those have some acoustic solo parts. So, for example, what I do in my setup is I didn't put a boost, but I have a solo switch here. So when I tap on my guitar effects pedal, it turns on. So what that does is, for example, that's my current tone, and then without with just a very 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 small boost. Let's say I'm gonna be asked to play an instrumental or an instrumental section with acoustic. Then goes back again to the verse. So this is very helpful on those occasions. Just a very very small boost could make a difference, just pushing you up a bit in the mix. Last bonus step is acoustic guitar shines on low to medium velocity. It doesn't sound good on harsh strumming. For example, turn off my delay and reverb and my compression. So, for example, if you're gonna play acoustic guitar, doesn't sound good if you play it hard. It just gives noise, it breaks up the sound. But if you play soft but still keep the tempo of the song without playing too very hard. So one thing that helps is a very flexible pick, not a hard one. I have a hard one here. So I'll give you an example. I'll play the same thing with different pick. Okay. So this is the hard one. Soft pick. Listen to how much detail is given, and how much the strumming is uh, is very. You can really hear the sound of the strumming compared to this one. It feels like dark. This one very bright. So with just the pick, and then how you pick it. So if you even if you have a light pick and you pick the guitar hard, it's gonna sound harsh. So if you play it like this, so you can still play fast, even with a soft pick. It's just the control of your wrist and how dynamic your picking habit is. So for example, so if you pick it hard, what mostly people do, for me, it just doesn't sound pleasant as this one. All right. Final thoughts. So those are my 5 essential tips for playing acoustic and one bonus tip in a worship setting. If you found this helpful, drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more worship guitar tips. See you in the next video. Thanks.